On November 6, 2020, gunshots tore through the early morning silence outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in downtown Atlanta. Within moments, a rising rap star was dying. A man was gunned down, and 5 others were wounded, including the alleged shooter. This is Strawberry Ink. Today, we unravel the death of Dayvon Daquan Bennett, known to the world as rapper King Von. This story covers the controversial legal aftermath that followed. The altercation started as a brawl. Surveillance footage later showed fists flying before the weapons were drawn. Among those injuries was Timothy Leeks, a rapper himself, who performed under the name Lil Tim. He would later be labeled as the predator in this deadly confrontation. 5 people were injured. 2 died. One of them was Keen Vaughn. The other, 34-year-old Mark Blakely, a Chicago native who somehow ended up in the chaos of that night. As Keen Vaughn and Blakely lay dying at the scene, Timothy Leeks was rushed with them to the Grady Hospital in Atlanta. The three underwent surgery. However, the surgeons, when doing their job, ultimately noticed that Vaughn and Lay were already dead. The shooter, Timothy Leeks, who was undergoing surgery in this hospital, was apparently not shot by a rival. He was shot by the Atlanta, Georgia Police Department, who intervened during the shootout. Within 24 hours, Leeks was detained and chained to his hospital bed. The others injured in the shooting, who underwent treatment at this hospital, were discharged within the next 2 weeks. Once Leeks was stable, he was transferred to the Fulton County Jail. The next morning, in a virtual first appearance via Zoom, Chief Magistrate Cassandra Kirk granted him a $100,000 bond, a decision that sparked immediate backlash from the public and media alike. But bond was posted, and Timothy Leeks walked free. His attorney, Noah Pines, stood by him as the legal storm began to swirl. Weeks later, Leeks was formally arraigned. The then district attorney, Paul Howard, hit him with 6 felony charges, 2 of felony murder, 4 of attempted felony murder. Leeks pleaded not guilty to all of them. Judge Christopher Brazier ordered that the case be sent to a grand jury in this Fulton County District Court for examination in order to see if the charges would be confirmed. But while the legal gears turned, the political tides were shifting. DA Paul Howard lost his re-election bid. And then came Fani Willis, Atlanta's new district attorney, and with her a new strategy was operated. She appointed Special Prosecutor Pete Skandalakis to review the evidence independently. Skandalakis was in charge of doing this for many cases, as Paul Howard would get too political in doing his job and would often charge individuals unfairly. If somebody killed a black person for whatever reason, Howard would still charge them because he himself was black and he wanted to gain the black vote, as he knows most of Atlanta is black. The shooter, Timothy Leeks, has always stated that he acted in self-defense. The conclusion of this special prosecutor: the charges should be dropped. Under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law, it was determined that Leeks did indeed act to defend himself. And just like that, the case collapsed. The charges were dismissed, and Leeks was discharged from his bond. The legal chapter was over by now, but the grieving had just begun. On November 18th, 2020, Mark Blakely, King Von, his life was remembered privately at the Willie Watkins Funeral Home in Atlanta. A quiet committal followed, and he was cremated. 2 days later, Keenbon's body was brought home to Chicago. A private visitation took place at the Chapel Hill Funeral Home in Oak Lawn, Illinois, followed by a family-only committal. But on November 21st, the public had their chance to say goodbye. A celebration of life was held at the iconic Chicago Theater. Afterwards, his ashes were laid to rest at the Burr Oak Cemetery in Alsip, a city now bound to hip-hop history by tragedy. The death of King Von left behind questions about justice, about violence, about how quickly fiends can fall apart when pride and pain meet on a sidewalk, and about how the law as written does not always align with what the public expects from justice. This has been Strawberry Ink. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay safe. Thank you for listening and have a good rest of your day. May those deceased rest in peace.